So there are over 2,668 to be exact, billionaires across the globe. Not millionaires, no, billionaires with a B. And with the fortunes that run 10 digits long. And these fortunes exist in all nations, but guess where the good old USA ranks? Oh yeah, not number one in healthcare, not number one in helping workers. No, not those things, but baby, we are number one for the ultra. How many ultras can I get in before the show ends? Ultra wealthy. Yep, you heard it. And this is sickening. And it really is, most people cannot even comprehend this type of money that we're talking about. But it's not just about money, baby. This is about unfettered greed. That is what this is, and it is as immoral as hell. So first, 53% of the global deep pockets worth at least $100 million call the United States home. Let's put them up, let's put this up. I want all the world to see the United States, 735. Cenk, we are at the top of that list. China, 607. India, 166. Germany, 134. And Russia, 83. And why does the US dominate in the ranks of the super rich? I'm glad you asked that question because we're gonna answer it right here. CEO compensation. The Economic Policy Institute reported earlier this week that corporate chiefs at the 350 top American firms that trade on the stock market last year realized an average of 27.8 million in compensation. Now we might as well go ahead and say 28 and round that thing up. And an 11.1% increase over their previous year's pay and a record 399 times more than the take-home pay of the typical worker. You heard me right, 399 times more. We might as well round that one up too, 400 times more than the average worker's take-home pay right here in the United States of America. Now, back in 1965, top US CEOs averaged just 20 times more than the typical worker. Now, spoiler alert, that was awful. But what is happening right now is even worse. So overall, US CEO compensation has increased 1,460% since 1978, adjusting for inflation. The pay increase for the typical US worker over the same time span, just 18%. Cenk, this is, I don't know how many adjectives I can come up with that doesn't have cursing in them to describe this situation. Cussing, we call it cussing from where I'm from. But yeah, this is sickening as hell.
So there's a reason for this. And there's also the question of what can we do about it? So we can do some actions now that go to soften the blow a little bit, even things out. Not have so much wealth inequality. We can do a windfall profits tax. We can do a wealth tax. There's so many different ways that we can address this today. Now, unfortunately, the Democratic Party doesn't really have an interest in that. Every once in a while they say they do, but they never come anywhere near close to passing it because they're filled to the rim with the same kind of corporate executive donors. The Republican Party loves this fact. They were set up to serve the rich. They were set up to be the main, guard, the King's Guard, if you will, of corporate rule. And so they love the fact that you're being abused. And remember, it is abuse. It used to be 20-1 for CEOs to the average worker, as Nina just told you. Now it's 400-1. There's a reason for that. It's not an accident. It doesn't happen naturally. And by the way, I'm telling you this as a CEO. Okay, so I've got experience in really, are we worth that much? No. Okay, it's not to say that the CEOs aren't worth a lot, and 20 times the average worker is a lot. When it was 60-1, in 1989, that was a lot, right? 400-1 is crazy. So the reason for that, guys, is because they pass laws to allow that to happen. It doesn't happen in normal course of events because it's not true in other countries. It's not at all true in other countries. But once we allowed corporate executives to donate to politicians, they set up a vicious circle where they donated and then the politicians rigged the rules on their behalf, which then got them a lot more money, which they then donated a small portion of back to the politicians, and then they would rig the rules again. And it went on and on and on until everything was to their advantage and nothing was to our advantage. And that's why you're seeing the enormous inequality now. It's not an accident, it was paid for by these same corporate executives.
That's exactly right, Cenk. This is not by accident, it is on purpose, and the owner donors control. They are in full control of what type of policies are implemented in this country, including this. Citizens United, for one, is one of the problems that we face in this country. These things can be changed. They're done on purpose. We can undo them on purpose, and the people are gonna have to rise up to make that kind of demand. We do have a chart that shows that the gap in income between upper income and middle and lower income households is rising. No surprise there. And the share held by middle class people, by the middle, it is actually falling. It is unbelievable. And to me, we really don't have a middle class. I know people call themselves middle class. I say the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class, because the middle class is trying so hard to hold on. And this chart shows very clearly what is happening in this country. The rich get richer and the poor continue to get more poor. And that is not the way that it should be. And the richest person in the entire world, we're not excited to show his face, but here it is. One of your best friends, Cenk, I think.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Look, so he's got a ton of money, and to be fair to him, he did quote unquote earn a lot of it, right? So there's some folks who just inherited it, and then they pretend that they have a lot of merit. Get out of here, man! Your great grandfather made that money. You ain't got no merit. Okay. By the way, Trump is one of those guys. He inherited $413 million from his dad, and then he lost it all because he's an idiot. Right? And then everybody treated him like he was rich and because he earned it. No, he didn't earn it at all. It was literally handed to him. He's a natural born schmuck. Now, to be fair, Elon Musk was also born with an emerald mine. So Nina, I don't know if you got an emerald mine tucked away somewhere, or your mama or grandmama had it, or mine certainly didn't.
No emerald mines, no sugar daddies, no sugar mamas. No sugar anybody. And I tell you, we all are among the working poor, unless you got a sugar daddy, sugar mama, or emerald mine somewhere. We are all, and some of us are, at the top within that working class, some barely in the middle, and some but very poor. But all of us, each and every one of us, the overwhelming majority of us, I should say, have to work for a living. And so we have to have that kind of solidarity. Let's put up the graph that shows the other folks that are in his club. Cenk, a whole bunch of these fellas are right there with him. But we have Bezos and Bernard, not that Bernard, not the Bernard, but another Bernard is in that list. We got Bill Gates. So we got Bezos at $171 billion. Bernard at $158 billion. Bill, as in the Gates, $129 billion. Warren at $118 billion, and there's Larry bringing it in at number 6 at $111 billion. There are many, many more, but that would take up all of the show. These are the people who are in the upper echelons of that ultra. How many times can I say ultra during the show? Wealthy class in the United States of America, and this is excessive, it is greedy, and it is absolutely immoral. But meanwhile, let's juxtaposition this to something. Amazon's most typical warehouse worker took home $31,705 last year. Jane, I don't know about you. I do think that the man could afford to give them a raise, better work conditions, and better benefits.
Yeah, guys, this isn't about being bitter about the ultra wealthy. Look, if we had some sort of parity and fair rules and economic opportunity for all of us, good, let them have it. Who cares? What do I care, right? But we don't have any of that. So to give you a sense of it, I'm gonna go back to one of the numbers that Nina read for you guys. And I wanna give you one extra piece of context. And then I'm gonna give you the most stunning number. The extra context is productivity is sky high in America, and it has been for a long time. Since the 1930s, productivity has gone up straight like this. It's been fantastic. So his productivity of the American worker and on all the companies, including the executives, et cetera, has skyrocketed since 1978. As she told you, our wages have gone up just 18%. That's minuscule, minuscule. Whereas the CEO wages have gone up 1,460%. Wait, why did theirs skyrocket and ours stagnated? Because they set the rules. So from then on, no pro-union law almost ever passed at the national level or frankly at the local level. And so that kept your wages down. The minimum wage is still at $7.25. It hasn't been raised in well over a decade, almost a decade and a half. So your wages are artificially suppressed while their wages go through the roof. And they've actually gotten, there's also another part of this, which is basically corporatism, where they've captured their own companies. And the executives, I think, are actually taking from the shareholders too. So no one is winning out of this equation. But now the truly stunning number. So in America, we have acquired wealth. If you look at it on average, if you take the rich along with the rest of us, our average wealth for a family in America is stunningly high. It's $579,000. Actually, it's per adult, not even per family. Okay, that's a giant number. So France is another wealthy country, but we overshadow them by a lot. Their wealth per adult is $322,000. Still a great number, right? But a little bit more than half, close to half of our number, right? So it sounds like, oh, we're richer in America, right? No, actually we're not. It depends on what you mean by we. So because we have so much ultra wealthy folks in this country, it brings up the average. But if you do the median, which is to say the average American, do you know that the average American, this is wealth, not income, has only $90,000 in wealth, whereas the average French citizen has $140,000. They have $50,000 more per year in France. And by the way, with all the taxing and all the things and all the social welfare state that they have, that the Republicans here complain about nonstop. No, the average person in France has a lot more wealth than the average person in America. Why? Because they don't have the money in politics problem that we have. We legalize bribery. The minute you legalize bribery, you're screwed. The rich are gonna buy the entire government. And that's exactly what happened here in America. And that's why you're seeing these results.
There it is, and we can do something about it, Cenk, as you just laid out. We need to elect officials, put people in office who will not be bought off by the owner donors so that we can get the rules of engagement changed. And I'm glad you went for the medium. Dr. Robert Reich talks about that a lot, that we cannot just do the average. He always tells a story that the average height between him and Shaquille O'Neal is about 6 feet 1 inch. So you can't do the average, you gotta do the medium. That's half at the top and half at the bottom. That gives us a better picture of what is actually happening in the United States of America when it comes to the gap, the gulf, if you will, between the ultra, put 100 more ultras on that, wealthy and the rest of us. We have got to do something about it. This is untenable and it is immoral.